it's Melissa from Josiah & Co. Welcome to day 1 of our Good Grief Challenge. And today we're going to be talking about your grief journey. What has your relationship with grief been? What is your grief story? Are you grieving the loss of a pregnancy, a baby, a loved one? Maybe you've recently broken up with your partner, or you've lost your job due to COVID. There's a plethora of things that you could be grieving. A lot of people are collectively grieving right now due to the recent events that have been highlighted in the media, things that have been going on for a long time. There's collective grief. All of us are grieving in one way or another. For me, my grief journey started, part of my grief journey started back in 2008 when my stepdad died unexpectedly. And at the time, I didn't know how to work through that grief because no one talked about grief. I also felt like I wasn't sure if I should be grieving his loss because I wasn't his biological daughter and he wasn't my biological father. And someone confirmed that faulty thinking when I had come to them and told them I was struggling in my grief, and they had made a comment that, oh, well, he's not really a family member, so it's just like losing a friend. And I felt like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling the way that I should be feeling. But I realized in that moment that, well, maybe not in that moment, years later realized that my grief is my grief and it was valid to feel the way that I did. And then in more recent years, as you may or may not be aware, we've experienced 7 pregnancy losses, most of them being within the second trimester. So I've been grieving all of that. So I'm well acquainted with grief. Grief and I are like the best friends that, I didn't really want. But yeah, so years later and now I recognize that my grief journey is my own and I'm allowed to feel the way that I feel, and I'm allowed to grieve these losses. I'm allowed to grieve my babies. And so I want you to know, regardless, whatever your grief journey is, you are allowed to grieve and your grief is valid. So today, if you go to my blog, you'll find some writing prompts. I want you to write out your story if you feel like that's something that will be beneficial to you, if it's not too difficult. And I'm going to encourage you to share it with someone who's close to you. And our mantra for today is, my grief is valid. I am allowed to grieve. Can you say that with me? My grief is valid. I am allowed to grieve. So go check out the writing prompts on my blog. Don't forget to tag me at the end of the day or midway through the day to let me know how this process is going for you. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your story. If you want to bounce your story off of me, you're more than welcome to. You know where to find me. And friends, I will see you back here tomorrow for day 2. Bye.